At 3:17 AM on September the 23rd, 2019, Michael Torres woke up to the sound of something ripping apart their $400 bear-proof cooler with its bare hands. When he unzipped his tent flap, he came face to face with a creature over 8 feet tall, covered in matted dark fur, with glowing red eyes that stared directly into his soul. But this wasn't just any curious animal looking for food. This was calculated, aggressive attack by something that spent the next 3 hours systematically destroying their campsite, terrorizing his family, and demonstrating tactical intelligence that would make a Navy SEAL proud. The creature didn't just steal their food and leave, it arranged their camping chairs in a perfect circle around their tent. It threw Michael's hiking boots at specific sections of their tent with sniper level accuracy, and when Michael tried to use his satellite communicator to call for help, the creature immediately understood what he was doing and began shaking their tent violently until he put the device away. When the Torres family finally escaped and reported their encounter to park rangers, they discovered something that changed everything. Their campsite had been attacked at the exact same GPS coordinates where 3 other families had reported identical Bigfoot encounters. Rangers had been calling it bear activity to avoid panic. Tonight, I'm bringing you 4 documented cases that prove Bigfoot isn't just some shy forest creature hiding behind humans. These are territorial predators with military level tactical intelligence, the physical strength to tear apart anything in their path, and the psychological awareness to use terror as a weapon. What you're about to hear are attacks by creatures that understand human technology, coordinate group strategies, and view camping families as invaders that must be eliminated from their territory. I'm Brighty Nightmares, and these 4 true encounters will make you cancel your next camping trip. Before we dive into tonight's terror, understand this: every case you're about to hear has been documented by law enforcement, investigated by wildlife officials, and reported by credible witnesses with zero history of making false claims. The Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization maintains over 5,000 documented encounters across North America. Of these, approximately 400 involve aggressive behavior, where creatures demonstrated tactical intelligence and coordinated attacks. Several encounters were investigated by federal agencies. While they rarely acknowledge Sasquatch publicly, internal documents show they take these reports seriously enough to temporarily close areas to public access. Tonight's cases represent escalating aggressive behavior. These aren't isolated incidents, they're part of a documented trend showing creatures becoming increasingly territorial and willing to use sophisticated tactics against human intrusion. September the 23rd, 2019, Olympic National Forest, Washington. The Torres family, Michael, Sarah and their 2 kids, Emma and Jacob, were on their final night of what had been a perfect 3-day camping trip in the remote Hoy River area. Michael was a software engineer with 15 years camping experience. Sarah was an ER nurse trained to stay calm under pressure. Their kids were seasoned young campers. They'd followed every wilderness protocol: bear-proof containers, food hung properly, Yeti cooler chained to a tree with metal cables. At 3:17 AM, something massive crashed into their campsite. Michael grabbed his flashlight and unzipped the tent flap to find a creature over 8 feet tall, covered in dark fur with glowing red eyes, holding their 65-pound cooler and tearing it apart like cardboard. This wasn't just brute force. The creature systematically dismantled their bear-proof container designed to withstand a 500-pound grizzly bear, shredding it into pieces no larger than dinner plates. Then it moved to the camping chairs and arranged them in a perfect circle around the family's tent. For the next 3 hours, the creature demonstrated intelligence that terrified Michael more than its size. It would approach their tent, press against the fabric until it bulged inwards, then retreat and circle to approach from a different angle. It was playing with them, showing it could reach them whenever it wanted. When Michael tried to use his satellite communicator, the creature immediately understood what he was doing. It began aggressive vocalization and violently shaking their tent until Michael put the device away. The moment he stopped, the creature returned to its previous stalking pattern. The creature picked up Michael's hiking boots and threw them one at a time at different sections of their tent with perfect accuracy. This wasn't random aggression. It was calculated intimidation designed to prove the creature could hit any target it chose. When daylight arrived, the family found evidence of systematic intelligence. Their equipment was scattered across 100 yards, but their camping chairs had been deliberately arranged in geometric patterns. Footprints 18 inches long showed clear toe definition. Claw marks on trees extended from ground level to over 10 feet high. Forest Survey investigators confirmed the encounter involved an unidentified large primate exhibiting territorial behaviours inconsistent with known wildlife. They discovered this exact location had been the site of identical attacks in 2017 and 2018. But territorial aggression was nothing compared to what a professional photographer would discover about Bigfoot's technological intelligence. October 2020, Mount Hood National Forest, Oregon. David Chen, a professional wildlife photographer with 20 years experience, was commissioned to document elk behaviour using advanced night vision and infrared equipment. David wasn't some amateur cryptid hunter. His work appeared in National Geographic and major outdoor magazines. He specialised in photographing dangerous animals using sophisticated equipment: grizzlies in Alaska, mountain lions in Colorado, wolves in Montana. He didn't spook easily or misidentify animals. David established a photo blind near Zigzag River, 15 miles from the nearest road. His setup included multiple remote cameras, professional telephoto lenses, and infrared lighting systems. He followed strict protocols to minimise human presence while documenting wildlife. On his fourth night, motion-activated cameras triggered simultaneously at 2:23 AM. Instead of showing an animal, they captured a large, dark-shaped moving upright between trees, approximately 8 to 9 feet tall, demonstrating bipedal movement and apparent understanding of camera placement. Over the next 2 nights, David's carefully positioned cameras were being moved, not damaged, relocated with precision that required understanding their function. The cameras were repositioned to make them less effective for documenting elk behaviour. October the 18th, 6:45 PM, a massive figure emerged from the tree line 50 yards from David's blind. Over 8 feet tall, covered in reddish-brown fur, with proportions unlike any known animal. Most disturbing, it looked directly at David's hiding position with obvious awareness of his presence. The creature systematically examined David's remote cameras, touching each one and studying how they were positioned. It was conducting its own investigation of David's equipment, demonstrating understanding of their purpose. The creature approached David's blind slowly, stopping 20 yards away and maintaining direct eye contact. David felt like he was being evaluated by something that understood exactly what he was doing and was deciding how to respond. When David began packing to leave, the creature's behaviour shifted to active aggression. It followed him between camera positions, staying 30 to 40 yards away, but clearly tracking his movements and preventing normal photography work. For 3 hours, the creature engaged in psychological warfare. It would appear at the edge of David's vision, disappear when looked at directly, then reappear elsewhere. David recognised these as military-style flanking tactics from his early career training. The creature systematically disabled David's equipment, disconnecting cables, turning lenses groundward, moving power supplies to useless locations. This required understanding of how the equipment functioned. As David evacuated through the night, the creature followed, throwing rocks and branches with perfect accuracy that never hit him directly. The precision suggested the creature could see clearly in complete darkness and was choosing not to injure David. Despite the terror, David documented everything: precise times, GPS coordinates, equipment serial numbers. His account became a case study for researchers studying Sasquatch intelligence and technological awareness. Authorities revealed David's encounter was the fourth similar incident in the same area for over 3 years. His abandoned equipment was later found arranged in deliberate patterns, with cameras containing footage of the creatures studying them after David's departure. But individual stalking was nothing compared to the coordinated military-style assault a family of professional outfitters would face. September 2021, North Cascade Mountains, Washington. Cascade Adventures, a family outfitting business run by Ricardo Martinez, a former Army Ranger, his wife Alina, and son Carlos, were guiding 6 experienced hunters on a week-long expedition. This was an amateur hour. Ricardo had 20 years of military experience, including Army Ranger training. Elena was a certified wilderness first aid instructor with a master's in outdoor recreation. Carlos was a professional hunting guide, certified in 3 states. Their clients included 2 retired cops, a military vet, and experienced outdoorsman. The first 3 days were flawless. The group harvested 2 elk and a black bear following all legal protocols. Then they started finding footprints around camp, 17 inches long with clear toe impressions, slowly bipedal gilt, and stride length exceeding any known regional animal. Their organised camp was being systematically disturbed, hunting gear moved and rearranged, but nothing stolen. Most concerning, their firearms had been touched, indicated by disturbed dust patterns that experienced hunters immediately noticed. Multiple group members reported feeling watched during hunting activities. The sensation was so consistent that Ricardo made the professional decision to require all hunters to work in pairs rather than alone. September the 30th, 7:30 p.m. Deep vocalization from the forest that Ricardo immediately recognized as exhibiting military communication patterns. The calls had different tonal qualities suggesting coordination between multiple individuals, similar to radio protocols from his army service. The vocalization came from precisions providing excellent camp observation while remaining concealed. The creatures had chosen tactical positions that any military professional would recognize as optimal for surveillance and assault. Throughout the night, vocalization continued at irregular intervals, preventing sleep and creating stress that would make the group less effective at defending themselves. The calls seemed designed to maintain psychological pressure. Dawn reconnaissance revealed at least 3 separate individuals, each 400 to 500 pounds, that had coordinated positions around camp. Footprints showed organised movement patterns suggesting tactical coordination rather than random animal behaviour. Despite paying clients and business implications, Ricardo's military experience led him to evacuate immediately. The organised nature of the creature's behaviour posed unacceptable security risks. As they broke camp, large rocks began landing near their position with military precision. At 10 a.m, they came under coordinated attack from 3 directions, rocks and branches raining down, forcing them to take cover behind trees and boulders. Ricardo recognised classic flanking tactics he learned in army training. The creatures were working together to control the group's movement and prevent evacuation through their planned route. The evacuation became a 10-hour fighting withdrawal, with the group moving in military formation while creatures harassed them from concealed positions. Fresh tracks found ahead of their position indicated creatures were moving to set up new ambush points. When members tried using satellite communicators, harassment intensified immediately, proving the creatures understood the device's purpose and wanted to prevent outside communication. The response team found extensive evidence confirming the encounter. The systematic rock throwing positions were documented, and the area was temporarily closed to public access due to safety concerns. But even military-style tactics were seen primitive compared to what university researchers would discover about Sasquatch territorial intelligence. March 2022, Gifford Pinchot National Forest, Southern Washington. A team of geology graduate students from the University of Washington were conducting legitimate volcanic activity research when they discovered some areas operate under rules science doesn't acknowledge. Dr. Sarah Pattinson led a team of 4 graduate students studying volcanic soil composition. These weren't paranormal enthusiasts, they were serious academics conducting peer-reviewed research with university funding and published scientific protocols. The team established a research station to collect soil samples and monitor seismic activity near Mount St. Helens. Their equipment included sensitive geological instruments, sample collection tools, and monitoring devices that required precise placement and calibration. From day one, their equipment was being systematically moved, not damaged, relocated with precision that maintained functionality but altered data collection perimeters. Someone, or something, understood their scientific instruments well enough to sabotage them intelligently. Large rocks appeared around their research station in geometric patterns. Tree branches were stripped and arranged in formations that clearly weren't natural. The team documented everything, initially treating it as vandalism by other researchers or locals. Dr. Peterson realized the interference required understanding of geological instruments, seismic monitoring equipment, and scientific methodology. Whatever was moving their equipment knew exactly how to disrupt their research without destroying expensive university property. While collecting samples near a volcanic ridge, the team encountered 3 massive bipedal creatures, observing them from approximately 100 yards away. The creatures stood 8 to 9 feet tall, covered in dark fur, and showed no fear of their human researchers. The creatures began systematic harassment designed to force evacuation. They threw objects with precision that demonstrated they could injure the researchers or were choosing restraint. Their coordination suggested advanced communication and strategic planning. Despite the terror, Dr. Peterson maintained scientific protocols, documenting creature behavior, collecting evidence, and recording vocalization. Her team's academic training overrode panic, providing detailed observations of Sasquatch intelligence. The creatures demonstrated understanding of seismic monitoring equipment, carefully dismantling sensors without triggering university alarm systems. They knew exactly which components to disconnect to disable monitoring without alerting remote technicians. The assault intensified while researchers attempted to cross an invisible territorial boundary marked by arranged stones and stripped branches. The creatures had established a perimeter that they were willing to defend with increasing aggression. The team was forced to abandon $50,000 worth of university equipment and evacuate under coordinated harassment. The creatures followed them to the forest boundary, but stopped pursuing once researchers crossed over their territorial range. University administration suppressed the team's report, citing concerns about research credibility and funding implications. Dr. Peterson's official documentation was classified and access restricted to prevent damage to the institution's scientific reputation. Independent analysis of the team's footage and audio recordings revealed sophisticated tool use, environmental manipulation, and communication patterns suggesting these creatures possess intelligence rivaling human cognitive abilities. 4 encounters, 4 different groups of experienced outdoors people, all discovering the same terrifying truth. Bigfoot isn't a shy forest creature hiding from humans. These are territorial predators with military-level intelligence, sophisticated technology awareness, and coordinated group tactics. The Torres family faced 3 hours of psychological warfare. David Chen encountered technological sabotage that required understanding of professional equipment. The Martinez family survived the coordinated assault using military flanking maneuvers. University researchers documented territorial defense strategies that match human tactical intelligence. These creatures understand human technology, coordinate group strategies, establish territorial boundaries, and use psychological intimidation as effectively as any military unit. They're not just animals, they're intelligent beings defending their territory against human invasion. Forest Service documents prove federal agencies know about these encounters but classify them to prevent public panic. They're aware that certain wilderness areas are controlled by creatures possessing capabilities that challenge our understanding of North American wildlife. The next time you're planning a camping trip, remember, you're not alone in the wilderness, and some residents view human intrusion as an act of war that must be met with overwhelming tactical response. Subscribe for more investigations into creatures that prove we're not the apex predators we thought we were. And remember, the next time you hear something large moving through the forest, it might be deciding whether you're worth the effort to eliminate. Stay safe out there, or better yet, stay home.